Hello and welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes, and my sweet little kitty Toddy. If you just heard her say hello through her meow, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. And as you all know, possibly by now, we've got this show in different formats. So you might be watching it and you might be listening to it and you might be, I'm not sure how else you could, but watch or listen, and it's in all the places. So how does it get any better? In case you're not aware, I have another podcast that no longer gets added to, but you can still access over 200 radio shows. So it's only in the audio, and it's a podcast called The Glenyce Show, Glenyce. So The Glenyce Show. If you go to your favorite podcast app and access it, you can listen to all of those shows from 2013 to, was it 2017, 2018? I'm not even sure. And then that's when I started this one, Tools to Create a Better Life. So there you go. What are we going to talk about this week? Well, tools and tips to be aware as fuck. Yes. It ultimately is what we're probably, if you're listening to this show, probably what we're all looking to be is more aware and more willing to be aware of our awareness. And it's often something that we have shut off for the majority of our life. And maybe we were really, really aware as kids, and then we said something or it upset someone, or maybe we saw Granny who had died 2 years earlier sitting in the chair, and we said it to our parents and they got mad, or who knows, doesn't matter what occurred. What we're looking to do now is to be the aware as fuck that we truly be. And you don't have to swear. I just like to. It's just fun for me. And it's just part of just the aware as fuck is really that infinite awareness that each of us bees, rather than trying to be the right awareness or just a little bit aware, but not 110% aware. Aware as fuck is aware of it all with, and here's tool, tip, whatever we want to call it, number one, with no point of view. So if you're looking to be aware as fuck, what's required, one of the things, is to have no point of view of anything or anyone, because anything or anyone you have a point of view about, a judgment about, a rightness with, a wrongness with, either way, the polarities, you will not be the infinite awareness that you truly be with them because of those points of view. So the way that I refer to it is like we put on blinders. If we decide that our friend is perfect, now we've got all of these blinders of what that is. And so when they don't choose what we would define as perfect, we don't even know. We're not even aware of it because we're doing this. And then usually it kind of smacks us in the face and we're shocked and we're upset and how dare they? And we have all the trauma that we could use because it's, what this whole reality is operating on is this drama and trauma and the crazy and the upset and the intrigue and the inventions and everything that is. We just try and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, fuck, shorts, boys, meows. So that is really a big, big piece of being aware, is the willingness to have no point of view. And I say willingness, but honestly, it's more, the way that I see it for myself is the demand of me to have no point of view of anyone or anything, including me. Like I'm part of that. Whew. Yeah. Now, the tool for me that I use with this in particular, more than any other tool, is the interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And I know many of you are longtime listeners. You've heard me speak of this tool and you maybe kind of check out as I talk about it because you already know it. I'm going to encourage you today to really just be present with it as I'm talking about it. Maybe be open to being aware of another piece or part of it or more of it or something, so that we don't put up those barriers of, well, I know this. Notice how much receiving is in that. Yeah, not much at all. So the tool of interesting point of view is where you become aware of a judgment or a point of view. And rather than playing with it, rather than continuously making it yours and real and significant, and now you must go tell more people so they can align and agree with you, what if you just go, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. So bring up something right now, bring up a situation, bring up a person, just one thing that you would like to have some space with. You'd like to not be the judgy judgerson with, and it could be you, could be your money thing, whatever it is, just bring up one thing. Yeah, and make it really, really intense, which means it kind of feels crappy for a moment. Okay, just bring that up and then just with me, either out loud or in your head. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. And if you might need to run it 10 more times or 100 more times, but for the most part, 3 to 5 times is usually enough to start to shift and change it. And then it's like, what you're doing is you're taking these blinders off. So whether you've decided somebody's perfect, blinders. If you decided somebody's horrible, blinders. Let's just take them off and be the awareness that we truly be, so we can be aware of what that person is choosing in that 10 seconds. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, 𝐸𝐸𝐸, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So the Aware as Fuck is actually a course that I have coming up for anybody who'd really like to take a deep dive into this. I've got a 3-part series that we're going to do the end of October 2020. So depending on when you're listening to this, the link will be somewhere, you can find it. And it's actually called that, Aware as Fuck. And we're really going to go into like how you read your awareness and all the different ways that awareness can be read, and then how to trust you and how to trust your awareness and magic tricks and all this awesomeness. So if that feels fun for you, find the link or PM me or DM me or smoke signal me. There's so many ways to get in touch now, and I will get you the link for more information. So that is tip number 1, tool number 1 is interesting point of view, and recognize when you're not willing to be interesting point of view about someone or something, because that's often where we'll trip ourselves up, because we've decided that that person is perfect or that person is horrible. So then we have no space for awareness with what is actually going on. And if we don't tell ourselves that, then we will go into the judgment of us because of what they chose, you know, the shock of it or all this sort of stuff. So I had a friend years ago, and her and I defined ourselves as best friends, and we were best friends for 7 years. So there's lots of significance in that. And so my definition of a best friend is a best friend would never hurt the best friend. That's what my definition. I had probably had a billion definitions, but that was one of them. And so I started noticing that our relationship was changing, and I finally talked to her about it, and I just said, hey, like, I feel something's different. Did I do something? Did I say something? And she said, oh, no, it's her daughter was going through some stuff, and it was all about that, and no problem at all. We were good. And I knew we weren't. But I really, really, really wanted to put my trust into her. And so I put the blinders back on of, no, we're good, and it's all this other stuff. And then within a few weeks, no, we were not good. And I look at that now as really, if I wouldn't have had, and not that I was wrong to have it, but that definition of best friend was a judgment. Because of because of what I added to it. A best friend would never, or you could do a best friend would always. Like, it doesn't matter. But that really stuck me with it needing to be what I decided it be, rather than, you know what, anybody can make any choice at any time. And so to have any sort of judgment on didn't allow me to be the awareness that I was. Now I got bits and pieces of it. I was aware of something. When I asked though, then I went back to no, what she's saying is right and all the things. So if you look at that in your own life, like where you've maybe put more value in what people say rather than what you're aware of. Whew. Right, wrong, good, bad, all night, but back, shorts, boys, beyond. So that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. If you're not familiar, you can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information about how it works. But basically it's like a magic wand. And so when we talk about something like this, where it's like, you kind of want to fight me and you kind of want to go, oh, right. And you kind of want to go, no, I'd never, and I never, and all that energy, when we clear it, it just creates more space for us. And so if you look at those areas of your life where you're not being the awareness that you truly be, and any area of your life that isn't working, you're not being the awareness you could be. Let me say that again. Any area of your life that you're not, that's not what you'd like it to be, you're not willing to be the awareness that you truly be. So another tool in that moment of that thing that you would like to have different, whether you're looking at a money thing or a relationship thing or a body thing or whatever it is, what am I aware of here? What am I actually aware of here? Start asking that question so that you can be aware of what you're pretending not to be aware of. Yeah. All right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, but shorts, boys, and beyonds. What are you aware of? Now, you can get fancy if you like, but you don't have to. What are you refusing to be aware of with regards to the money stuff? That if you were willing to be aware of it, would change it as if by magic. Anything that doesn't allow that, well, you destroy it and create it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, but shorts, boys, and beyonds. And you can keep it really simple. What am I aware of here? What am I aware of here? Because you're aware of something. That's the stop point, the problem, the struggle, but you're not being honest with you about what you're aware of. Yeah. So that's tool number 2. Ask that question. Ask yourself. Now, when we ask questions, we're not asking from looking for the answer. We're asking from being aware of our awareness. So sometimes our awareness doesn't show up the same moment we ask the question. Sometimes the awareness doesn't show up for a day, a week, a month, 6 years, who knows? But if you don't make yourself wrong, and I mean, I say 6 years, it's probably not going to be that long. You'll start getting something, but you'll start with that. You'll just start there and just ask that, and you'll notice when you ask it, there will be a lightness. So same thing, bring up that thing that you just ran an interesting point of view on, if there's still some energy there. If not, pick something else. Pick an area of your life that isn't working the way you would like it to be, and let's just do that together. So, and this is the way I ask it. Truth, what are you aware of? Truth, what are you aware of? Truth, what are you aware of? Yeah, now, at least for me, it's like there's this expansiveness. I cannot give you words as to what I'm aware of. I just know when I ask that question, there's an expansiveness that will then, from that expansiveness, will gift me more awareness. There will be something that occurs, whatever it is. It might be a memory, it might be a thought, it might be somebody saying something to me. There'll be something. And I don't normally have an awareness external to me. My awareness for me usually is a light or a heavy or a knowing. And I've got a video about this. We'll link to it. It's from a long time ago that I did about a lot of times, especially if you've taken an access consciousness class or classes, you hear us facilitators talk about light and heavy. So we make that kind of like, okay, so my awareness shows up as light and heavy. But notice that's not a question. How does my awareness show up is the question. And so I've got a video where I talk about, for a lot of people, awareness is actually a knowing. So we can really distract ourselves with looking for the light and heavy when really it's actually you knew before you even finished the question. You're very, 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 very quick, my sweet friends. And possibly you were even called a know-it-all when you were growing up. And it's that you actually are a know-it-all. You are infinite knowing, and that's how it shows up. But because I ask you what is light and what is heavy, you stop and you try to go backwards and figure it out. So again, in the Aware as Fuck course, we'll talk way more at length of this and clear all the things around it, but just a tidbit for now, a tool for now is to know that your awareness could show up different. So if we're talking about light and heavy, you might be more of a knowing. There might be other ways that your awareness shows up, that you read your awareness that is your way, because each one of us has our own way with awareness, how we read it. And I also find it changes. So anyway, lots of things to consider with that, but that's another tool, is to recognize that how do I read my awareness? And it could be, universe, show me how I read my awareness. Universe, show me how my awareness shows up for me, so that you can start getting that sense. And it's never always the same. So often we look for that. We look for, oh, okay, well, when I asked that question, I got this heaviness, so it's always that for me. It ain't, my sweet friends. This is where we want to be as aware as fuck. So we're aware of how our awareness is showing up in that moment. So yesterday, I'm in the middle of facilitating a foundation. And yesterday, as I was cleaning up the room after class, there was one of those Halloween chocolate bars, the Crispy Crunch, for anybody who's familiar. I love them. So I picked it up and I opened it and I put it in my mouth. In my defense, it's very small. So I put it all in my mouth. I didn't take a bite. I put it all in my mouth. And it's just so funny because I put it all, put it in. And then as I was putting my hands down, it popped out of my mouth. So I was holding it in my hand, what? And what I recognized in that moment of kind of what the fuck, was my body was saying, no, thank you. And I wasn't aware of that. I didn't even ask it a question before I popped it in. I just popped it in, which I'm getting, for the most part, I do ask. And for whatever, I just popped it in and body was like, no, thank you. Now, it was very light. It wasn't heavy. It was light because I just what the fuck? And then I started to laugh because it was so funny to me. So if I was looking for light and heavy, I would have said, oh no, this is light, so I will eat it. It wasn't about light and heavy. It was that my body literally showed me it didn't desire that in my mouth. And it just went, whoop. It was so funny to me. So how many ways can awareness show up for you that you maybe are, I'm going to say missing, but that sounds like a judgment, that you're not aware of, that if you would be aware of that as awareness, yeah. Now, it's different than in my metaphysical days when I was looking for signs and symbols. Okay, so this for myself is something I've had to really be cognitively present with, because I, for so many years, looked for the signs and the symbols. All the energies I decided were greater than me, they gave me signs and symbols because this was my point of view back then. I was so much less than, and they needed to tell me what to do because I was stupid. That's a very extreme version, but you get the idea. If I'm constantly looking for an angel to tell me what to do next, I'm disempowering myself. So that's what I was doing. So it is different than that. I'm not looking externally. I'm not asking. Now, it sounds like when I speak of my body is separate to me, and it is. However, that eating that chocolate bar actually only had to do with my body. So me as a being can't eat. So that only had to do with my body. So my body spit it out as she didn't desire it. So that is her choice. It's not a powerless. It's like, oh, my body did it to me. It's not that at all. It's my body that was up to my body, and she made a very loud choice. And the cool thing, as I have been asking her to do that, I've been giving her permission to totally superior bitch me, because I've been doing that to her for long enough. And so I've given her that permission to do that. And then I was willing, I can't say I'm always willing, but I was willing in that moment when it came back out to go, oh, body, did you desire this? No, oh, right, in the garbage we go. Yeah, and so all the different ways that awareness can be showing up, and again, not from the disempowered or, today actually it's really windy out, and so today, as the class was arriving, there was a tree across the road. So there would have been a time that I'd have made a story about that. I'd have been like, oh my gosh, it's a sign, I shouldn't go, and instead they just phoned me and said, hey, you have a tree across your yard. We have a really beautiful long driveway, and so we couldn't see it from the house, and we don't even really look that way that much, but just because all our windows are the other way. So we could go into the story of there's a tree, we can't get there, it's because blah blah blah, and it's like that's not actually awareness. Now you could ask a question from that, of course, no different than when the chocolate ended up back on my hand. Ask a question. There's a tree blocking the driveway, ask a question, always. Even if a tree isn't blocking a question, even like I could have asked before I popped it in my mouth, ask a question. So it's that. It's the willingness to ask, the willingness not to make a story, the willingness to know also. And this is such a big piece, and I'm going to share it, is awareness is good for 10 seconds, my sweet friends. So I don't ask this morning about if my body would like a chocolate bar tonight. I only ask in that 10 seconds. If you're looking at going on a trip, you don't ask about going on the trip if you wouldn't be going for 6 weeks. You ask about what's relevant right now. So what's relevant right now with that trip might be that you're looking at booking flights. So truth, would booking these flights right now create the future I desire or decay the future I desire? You're only asking your awareness questions in the 10 seconds that it's relevant. If you're wondering if you should quit your job and go do something else, you can ask questions around that, you can clear points of views, you can do all the things, but ultimately asking about that, so today's Sunday, if you don't work until Monday morning, asking about it today, it's not relevant. Ask tomorrow when it's relevant, when you could be quitting. So truth, would quitting my job today create the future I desire or decay the future I desire? Because it's only relevant in that 10 seconds. If you ask today, you'll probably have a different awareness than if you ask when it's actually relevant. So this is a huge piece for awareness that I know for myself, I did way more what you would call psychic questions than actually awareness questions. And psychic questions are not going to create the future you desire, because psychic questions are based on a conclusion. And the example I always use, because it really shocked me how much I was doing it, was when we were selling our previous acreage. And I would ask, if we had a couple coming to look at the house, I would ask truth, will they buy the house? Who in the fuck cares if they buy the house? It doesn't matter if they buy it. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for, the awareness question to be asking is, what will it take to sell this house? Because them buying it is irrelevant. That's a victim question. If I get a no, I just have to sit back and go, oh, darn, they're not going to buy the house. Poor me. No. What's the awareness question? What will it take to sell this house? What can I be and do different to sell this house? What magic can I be to sell this house? Commune with the house that you'd like to sell. There's so many other pieces, but not truth, will they buy the house? That's a psychic question. And so that was a big learning curve for myself, because again, of all the years that I spent choosing the psychic questions and living in that energy of there's some sort of concrete conclusion that this is the way it is. It's not. It's not. It can be. If you really want to limit your life, then yes, it's very whew. But truly, if you're in the space of what else is possible, what else is possible that you've never even considered? What else is possible that you've never even considered? And that just opens up all the energies, all the doorways, all the possibilities. And the more aware as fuck as you're willing to be, guess what? You'll then be aware of the ones, the feather touches, the tickles, the when you spit out a piece of chocolate bar. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the things that I share. But it was just really cool for me. I was just like, whoa, thank you, body. Thank you. And wow. And how does it get any better than this? Yeah. And what would it be like to be the aware as fuck that you truly be? Anything that doesn't allow that to show up as if by magic, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, BIPOC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And of course, depending on when you're listening or watching, I've got the Aware as Fuck coming up at the end of October 2020. I've got an online foundation coming up the beginning of November. And I also have the Magic of Being Money, which is my 2-part specialty class on the How to Become Money workbook, beginning of December. And there's going to be a whole bunch of other goodness, Bars and Foundation in Strathmore, Alberta, the middle of November. I mean, there's so many things. And if you go check out the link, you'll see all the things, because there's so many things and they're constantly added. So thank you. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. And what is possible that we've never even considered? Yeah. Thanks, guys.